Agnes Kavindu, you have 10 minutes to do that motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that pursuant to Standing Order 37, the Senate do adjourn to discuss the definite matter of urgent national importance, namely demolition of houses and properties in Mavoko, Machakos County. Madam Speaker, in line with Article 43 of the Constitution of Kenya Constitution, shelter is a basic need. The Mavoko residents, Portland, was never issued with a notice of demolition and or relocation plan or place. The leadership of Machakos County, the governor, the senator, and the area MPs were never consulted on this issue. After the lapse of lease, they would have had a consideration to give back the local community as is their ancestral land. Generations and have been brought up there. The said residents approached the government for regularization of the said land. It is unfair to demolish their properties without notice or relocation. And as the Senate, or as the senator of Machakos County, I deeply condemn this act, because during the campaigns, the present government promised relocation of citizens who reside on public land. I wonder what changed. And the other day, the president told us it's a win-win. I request the government to quickly come up with a relocation and compensation plan for the affected residents, that on the public amenities, that is schools, hospitals, and religious institutions, that is churches, can't the government have an agreement with the county government and settle the issue in terms of payments and title deeds? We have seen this before with Waitiki Farm in Likoni, where the county government paid 1.2, where the county and the government paid 1.2 billion to the national government to save the residents. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta issued 1,400 title deeds to the residents who were already living in Waitiki farm on a list of 99 years. When the same, why can't the same be reciprocated to our people who have lived in Portland for so long? Madam Speaker, as we talk, we are talking of, by morning, we had 3,500. Madam Speaker, I'll wait, Senator Kio finishes with you and then you can pay attention. Madam Speaker, eight churches are also down. 4 schools are down. And Madam Speaker, from morning till now, the demolition is still on, and we don't know if it will continue even up to tomorrow. This is very unfair. This is very unhuman, because those children are out. They are not going to school, and the El Nino is here with us. Those people are outside not knowing where they will go. I'm asking, where was the government by the time these people bought this land, were allocated, were even given plans for building, and they paid? They also contacted the NEMA, and they brought up the buildings to where they are, and they got in to live. Where was the government that time? Why didn't they intervene that time? Madam Speaker, I ask Senator Sifuna to second.
Senator Sifuna.
Thank you very much, Senator Kavindu and Madam Speaker. First, let me say that just a few hours ago, I was part of a delegation of the leadership of Azimio coalition led by the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, and the Governor of Machakos. We tried to visit with the victims of the demolitions in Athi River. But to our surprise, Madam Speaker, we were met with a cordon of police, complete with water cannons and anti-riot gear, which was quite surprising for us because, as far as I understand, this is something that is of great interest to all Kenyans. And at the very minimum, we as the leadership of the country should be allowed to visit that place to see for ourselves so that we can assess the extent of the humanitarian crisis that is unfolding right under our noses here. Madam Speaker, much has been said about this matter in the court of public opinion and especially on social media. People are alluding to court decisions that have finally and firmly decided that the land belongs to East African Portland Corporation. In fact, Madam Speaker, that is not the position. The matter that has precipitated the current action was a ruling by the High Court sitting in Machakos that basically threw out the case that had been filed by the landowning company that had sued Portland. And the reason that was given by the judge is that this, the plaintiff or the complainant had been unable to effect personal service on some of the respondents in the case. So it is not therefore true or factual that a definitive determination has been made on the ownership of the land in Machakos. Madam Speaker, we are not here to argue the legality of who owns what or the title or who that land belongs to. Whether it is a question that it is, the land is actually public land, it is owned by Portland, or it's owned by these individuals, is another case altogether. What we want to address in this motion is the human suffering that has been precipitated by this particular action. That at the end of the day, Madam Speaker, our constitution and the law require that there has to be a humane way to resettle people. I am sure Madam Speaker is familiar with our own evictions and resettlement guidelines of 2009 that require that before certain actions are taken, such as the ones that we have seen in Mavoko, 90 days notice has to be issued in the Kenya Gazette. Of course, Madam Speaker, in this particular case, it was not done. Because hours after the court decision throwing out the case by the land ownership society, the graders were there, ready to demolish houses. And Madam Speaker, what we want to address is that every single government that can call itself a government must always worry about the situation of their own people. As Senator Kavindu has alluded to, Madam Speaker, the current regime is on record having said that the era of forceful evictions and nighttime demolitions was going to be a thing of the past once they were sworn in. It is quite shameful, Madam Speaker, that as we speak, over 3,000 households are without a roof over their head. We have counted at least 5 churches as of yesterday, and 3 schools, and I've heard Senator Kavindu add that it is in fact now 4 schools. More than that. And the demolitions are ongoing. I can confirm that because I have just come from there and we were denied access because the police commander in charge told us that that exercise will continue for maybe another few days. Madam Speaker, so what we're saying is this. We understand the legal tussle might take time. We understand that it might be a complicated case. But what is not complicated, Madam Speaker, is that people cannot be sleeping outside. As Senator Kavindu has said here, we are entering a period where we anticipate heavy rainfall. In fact, we have been warned by the meteorological department for a long time that we might be experiencing El Nino rains anytime. What would have been the challenge with the management of Portland, giving these people ample time to be able to move out? And what is most shocking, Madam Speaker, in the Daily Nation of this morning, today's Daily Nation, we saw another advertisement by Portland dealing with a separate portion of land that they own. And in this particular case of the land that has been advertised today, somehow they have taken a different approach. They recognize that there are people who are settled on that land, some who might actually even be squatters. But they have said that they are going to give those people priority when that land is advertised for sale. I am only asking myself, why was it not possible, even in the current situation, or the people who are on the land that is being now demolished, where properties are being demolished, for them to also be afforded the same opportunity to have this discussion with Portland and see if these people are able to afford to purchase these pieces of land so that they can do regularization, as we saw in that particular advertisement. So, Madam Speaker, for us, really, we are saying let there be a humane face to enforcement of court orders. Let there be a humane face when you are kicking out people from land and destroying their homes. Madam Speaker, as far as we are concerned, this is a matter that the President himself must speak to and answer the question whether he still holds to his promise to Kenyans to make sure that, in fact, such demolitions, especially forceful evictions and demolitions, Madam Speaker, are a thing of the past. I thank you, Madam Speaker, and I beg to second.
What is your point of order? I have not even proposed the question. Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 37, the Senate do adjourn to discuss a definite matter of urgent national importance, namely the demolition of homes and property in Mavoko, Machakos County. Honorable Senators, I put the question that pursuant to Standing Order 37, the Senate do adjourn to discuss a definite matter of urgent national importance, namely the demolition of homes and property in Mavoko, Machakos County. What is your point of order?
Madam Speaker, I raise under Standing Order 111 about limitation of debate, looking at the time, and this is a matter most of us would want to contribute. Would I be in order to request that the House agree with me that at least each and every senator speak at a maximum of 5 minutes so that all of us can get opportunity. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Senators, the standing order only gives 5 minutes for each contributor to this motion, to this debate. So each senator will have 5 minutes to contribute to the current motion. Senator Enoch Wambua.
I thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to make a contribution to this motion. Madam Speaker, from the onset, I want to remind us that governments all over the world exist for the purposes of protecting lives, property, and livelihoods. Madam Speaker, what is happening in Mavoko, in Athi River today, and yesterday and the day before yesterday, Mr. Speaker, it's a very sorry state of affairs. A very sorry state of affairs, Madam Speaker, because some of the property owners, properties that have been brought down, are actually third or fourth owners of the land on which they have erected their properties. Madam Speaker, the question that the mover of this motion has put on the floor of this House is a question that all of us must exercise our minds on as we debate this motion. Where was the government when people put up their houses on that land? Where was the government when schools were being constructed in this place? Madam Speaker, people don't register their schools. Schools are registered by governments. How did government register schools in this area? How did government even make some of these schools examination centers for exams that are supposed to be beginning next week? Madam Speaker, where was government when churches were being built on this land? It is the responsibility of government to register churches. Madam Speaker, without putting unnecessary emotion into this debate, I think, Madam Speaker, a time has come that people's legs must be held on fire until the truth comes out. What is the urgency in reacquiring this land for the cement factory? Why would we throw out our own people, Kenyan citizens, children, women, in the cold at a time like this when the El Nino rains have just set in, just because we want land to revert to a cement factory? What is it that the cement factory wants to do with the land today that we could not help and go through a process of reacquiring this land? Madam Speaker, I stand here as a leader from that region, but as I speak, Madam Speaker, let it be known by both sides of the divide that the people who have suffered and continue to suffer in those demolitions are not necessarily exclusively people from the Lower Eastern region. In fact, we have communities from all over the country who had settled on that land. People who have taken loans, bank loans, to construct their buildings. People who have taken loans to invest in private schools. People, Madam Speaker, who have taken years to build churches in those areas, and overnight, all that investment, all that property has been flattened, and these people are supposed to run to government for recourse. But unfortunately, it is the government that is doing this.
Honorable Senator, your time is up. Senator Boni Halwale.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it's very unfortunate that we are here where we are. As we witness a humanitarian crisis unfold in the Gaza, in the Middle East, purely for the reasons that you know. Little did we know that we would have also a humanitarian crisis unfolding here at home, at Maboko. I want to thank Senator Kavindu, the mover and the seconder, Senator Sifuna, and Senator Wambua. You've spoken maturely. You have raised the issue for us, even as we uphold the rule of law, whereby we are obeying court orders. Evictions must be done legally and with a humane face. What's the big deal? If the courts have agreed that the owner of this property is Portland and people have settled there illegally, let them go away. But let it be done procedurally and with a human face. That's all we are saying. Honorable members, I remember when I was in this parliament in 2004, we were faced with a similar problem when 100,000 people had to be evacuated from the Mau forest. Again, in 2011, when I was in this parliament, we witnessed thousands of people being evicted from Syokimau. And the threat is the same, that business people, political people, they create cartels, con unsuspecting members of the public, they buy land which does not belong to these conmen, and then, as Wambua said, they are second, third, fourth generation buyers. They're the ones who face this brand. We must say no. The people in Syokimau were warned repeatedly that you are putting up houses in the flight path to the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. They couldn't listen. Similarly, the people in the Mau, hundreds of thousands, were warned that this is an environmental water tower. They couldn't listen because they thought they were protected by the rich people who gave them that land or the politicians who sent them there. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, I tell this republic of ours, if we want to lead this country, we must hold each other. The weak, they be held by you, the strong ones. As in the government side, we hold hands with those in the opposition side when a matter requires that we close ranks. The people who are perpetrators of this con game must be pursued to its logical conclusion. And they are known. As I speak today, Boniface Sunguti Ichingwa, son of Ichingwa from Malinya, has sent me a message here that, Uncle, while you are away in Malinya, we have slept in the rain. He had bought such a land, he had put up property there. A young person, aged round about 29, 30, 31 years. These are the people we are supposed to protect. I hope when the president comes, he has taken step one, he has complied with a court order. We want to tell him that we are behind him to respect court orders, but we want to urge him to prevail upon agencies that manage eviction and settlement of people to do it in a humane way. Doing anything else, we either cease to be Kenyans or we become animals. Really? That somebody registered a primary school on land that did not exist? And I have registered 23 secondary schools which I built in Ekolomani. And I know the process of registration is rigorous. Who was doing these things? Unless it is a cartel.
Honorable Senator, time up. Senator Manzo Daniel Kitonga.
And thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute on this very important matter. Madam Speaker, other than this suit which has been concluded, there is another suit pending which will be determined about the same land in November, and I believe the same will not follow. The truth of the matter is the moment Portland acquired the land, and the moment the land lease expired, and the moment what Portland was doing there, which was mining, was over, the land was supposed to revert back to the community. And the current status is that it has to go back also, partly and co-owned by the county government of Machakos, which is the trustee. And therefore, it doesn't automatically go to the national government or automatically go back to the Portland company. And therefore, what has happened with this particular court order, Machakos county government had not been served. And instead of waiting for that, or the judge giving an opportunity, which happens, this ruling was arrived at through technicalities. And I also believe that some people were waiting for this. And as soon as that happened, people were very quick, you know, and agencies were very quick to run and evict. Instead of waiting for their cries and or giving reasonable time for these people to appeal, and then failure of appeal, then the matter would have been different. But that notwithstanding, there is something called an adverse possession of land. And that's why the Constitution says, and also the Fair Administration Act, says that you cannot no longer now, under the new Constitution, determine and conclude a matter fully on technicalities. You must hear all the parties. In this case, all the parties have not been heard, and even the issue of adverse possession, of which these people have been here for over 12 years, has not been heard and determined. And therefore, whatever has happened is vitiated by politicians. That is very true. Statements have been made by different politicians regarding this particular land. There are quite a number of highly connected people involved, and the idea is not to give this land back to Portland or give it for any other purpose allocated, which is the work of the Land Commission. The idea is to grab this land and take it for their personal interests, having taken it away from others. And even if this was to be for industry, even if it was to be for the housing project, these people had already done housing. I'm aware that Portland have a debt with the KCB. Even if it was for a debt with the KCB, there should have been notice of 90 days. And upon giving notice of 90 days, people would have negotiated. Say, fine, if the land doesn't belong to us, can we then raise money and pay KCB so that now we can know what to do for the land? Or can we then pay for the land so that we can be able to occupy it? And for the information of this house, there are many other thousands of acres of land in that area which are going to be mined and are going to be left vacant. So for all purposes and intent, that would still have covered any purposes the government or any other agency would have wanted to do so in future, but not to evict the people in an inhumane way, destroy their properties. They fail to have a human face. I don't think that's what government is. Government has a human face. And that's why we politicians go to the people and are servants of the people. We should hear the cries of the people. So the ones who damage and destroy the properties, I am very sure the Court of Appeal is going to revisit this, and there is going to be substantive hearing at the Court of Appeal while the houses are down and the people have been evicted, the churches have been destroyed. I think from what I've seen, even a mosque was constructed in my village, a place called Kadonzweni, irregularly on public land without consultation. But even after the Muslim community who had done that left the area, up to today nobody has touched that mosque. It is respected. Nobody else can go and destroy that mosque. You must respect places of worship because they are sanctified, and all this land we are fighting about belong to God. It doesn't belong to a particular individual. So I believe when we finally go to the Court of Appeal, and I'm sure the parties involved are very busy filing, and also we have this other ruling we are waiting in November. I hope it is also not going to be ruled on technicalities, and I'm sure the judicial officer dealing with it has seen the outcome of a court decision, barely on technicalities, looking machinized, looking not usual. You know, justice must be seen to be done. Justice cannot be managed through cartels.
Time up, Senator. Senator Karungo Thangwa.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wish this motion was speaking about going for the criminals. And the criminals are the people who sold land to these unsuspecting residents of Mavoko. Madam Speaker, from what I've gathered, and I really sympathize with the people of Mavoko, and I really sympathize with those people who lost their property, but being a legal battle, Madam Speaker, everybody and everyone was fighting for their right, Madam Speaker. This legal battle has been going on for 9 years between the cement company and the residents from that region, Madam Speaker. For 9 years, they were unable to agree on what they were supposed to do in regards to the parcels of land that they bought from cartels, from criminals, and from those who grabbed that land. Madam Speaker, the same cement company has land about 900 acres, just nearby. They were able to discuss with those who bought land from land grabbers, and they had agreed that now, as much as we paid the land grabbers, we are going to pay the cement company. And that's why, Madam Speaker, maybe there's no demolition, because they agreed with those who bought land from the land grabbers, Madam Speaker. On this issue, instead of us being reactive, we should be proactive, Madam Speaker. There have been billboards that have been put on that land urging Kenyans not to buy land from that area because there is, one, court case, and two, they believe that land does not belong to a society called Aimimalu Kenya that was selling land to unsuspecting people. Madam Speaker, let us not be a house that is going to whip the emotions, that we want to be seen to be fighting for our people, yet we are not, Madam Speaker. Because if we were, the county government of Machakos could have done something. The representatives of Machakos could have brought that issue at the Senate. And Senate, we have very nice committees that are looking into matters, Madam Speaker. But we wait for whoever is demolishing, of which I don't believe is my government, whoever is demolishing, Madam Speaker, we wait till our people lose their property. It was very painful to see a border guy, Madam Speaker, saying that he saved money for 5 years to build a house in there, only for it to be demolished, Madam Speaker. And then after the demolishing has happened, we just make noise. And then we let the criminals go. The criminals who took this land and sold to the border guy. And there are people that are known. They are in government, some of them. They are in administration, police administration, Madam Speaker. Today the DCI has summoned so many people to appear before them to give them information. Some of them are members of parliament. Some of them are owners of a society. Some of them are former OCPDs, Madam Speaker. I think, and I urge this Senate, it is sad that people have lost their property. Yes, it is sad, and we should condemn that with the possible words that we can use, Madam Speaker. But we should also go for the people who conned these people who are losing their properties twice, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, there's some leaders that I don't want to mention at this particular time of a certain political party, Madam Speaker, that are said to have taken this land and they have been fighting whoever in the name of protecting the residents of Mavoko. Madam Speaker, how come the said people have not even helped these people to go and have an appeal case at the court of law? At least assist these people in every way. But you cannot go to visit them when the demolitions are happening, yet 9 years.
What is your point of order, Senator Sifuna?
Madam Speaker, on Standing Order 101, on responsibility for the statements that are being made on the floor of the House, I think Senator Khalwale had set the tone by saying that the presentations that were being made on the floor were very mature. Is it in order, Madam Speaker, for Senator for Kiambu to make allegations against leaders of a party that he has refused to disclose without making any substantiation of those allegations, Madam Speaker? Because this matter is a serious matter, and any person who has information that can help the people of Mavoko get justice should be speaking with authority of facts. Madam Speaker, it is a matter of fact also that there was hardly any period between the time the court case was dismissed and the time when the demolitions began, as Senator Manzo has submitted on the floor, it is as if some people had already known or anticipated the decision in advance. So is it in order for Senator Thangwa, to say that the leadership in Machakos have done nothing to help the people to appeal? You cannot appeal when your house has already been demolished. That is why we usually have, Madam Speaker, a period of 14 days between a judgment and the time when action is supposed to be taken to allow for that appeal. But that has not been the case here. Can you substantiate on those two issues, Madam Speaker?
Senator, what is your point of order, Senator Halwale?
Madam Speaker, again I rise on 105, just like Senator Sifuna. But as I appealed, this is not a government problem or an opposition problem. We have this motion because there is a humanitarian crisis. So even to ask the senator for Kiambu to substantiate, to look like he is to blame, Madam Speaker, can I, sir? Yeah.
Let him finish, Senator.
Madam Speaker, if there is need for substantiation, the police, through a press release, has just tabulated the names of the senior officers that the senator of Kiambu is speaking to. And they include the kind of players he's talking about. Madam Speaker, because I'm on the, yes. Yes, electronic evidence can be tabled in this house.
Let
Madam
him finish,
Speaker,
Senator Catherine, allow Senator Boni to finish.
Madam Speaker, as I speak to this document, it's not a public document. They are speaking to former deputy commissioner, former deputy county officer, former OCPD, Maboko,
What
former
document
DCI.
are you reading?
Yes?
Can you give us the title of that document?
The title is the National Police Service, Directorate of Criminal Investigation, dated 17th of October, press release. They are asking all these people who are adversely affected by the humanitarian crisis to go. They have opened a desk to go and register the names of the people who called them. And they have said, for starters, this starting from, Madam Speaker, can I read the names now?
No, you don't read if it's public knowledge, Senator Halwale.
Yes.
If you resume your seat, we have heard your line of argument. I will request Senator Karungo Dhangwa, if you would want to add in more information to what you suggested as people you mentioned from other political parties. What of clarification, Senator Agnes Mudhama?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to clarify that we as a leadership of Machakos did not wait until we come here, and also for humanitarian grounds when our people are sleeping out, and not only Machakos people alone. Kenyans are in Machakos, Mavoko. They've been, they are sleeping outside. No school. Children are not going to school. Are we supposed to keep quiet, really, as a leadership of Machakos? And I want to say also, the governor took lawyers immediately the next day, and they went to court to apply an application of urgency to stop the demolition. And they were told to go back and serve all the parties and then go back on Monday just for this demolition to continue. It's unfair, it's inhumane.
Clarification is noted. Senator Karungo Dhangwa, would you want to put in additional information based on what you submitted before?
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. You can only be told to substantiate what you have said, but you can never be told to substantiate what you haven't said, Madam Speaker. I have not named any political party, but they say there is a political party. I have not mentioned which political party, and I have the right to say that there is people who conned our people, Madam Speaker. And remember, as much as I'm sympathizing, feeling for them, because maybe even this motion is here to protect those criminals, Madam Speaker. Maybe what we are looking for is to protect those who sold land to these. That's why I'm taking that angle, Madam Speaker.
Let me give directions.
That's why I'm taking that angle, because we cannot be fighting for our people by pretending, Madam Speaker. We have to you have to get to the origin of this issue.
Just allow
as much as I'm fighting for them to be given somewhere to stay, to be given back their property, I should also be fighting for them to get their money from the criminals, from the land grabbers, from those who lie to them, that land belongs to them, Madam Speaker.
Resume your seat. Let me give a direction on this matter. The manner and style in which a senator chooses to adopt in their debate remains their preserve. Senator Karungo Thangwa insinuated there may be some people from a certain political party. In Kenya, we have 89 political parties. It would not be correct for anybody to assume which political party the people who are alleged to be culpable belong to. It is within his rights to pick the nature of statement that he gives. If he gave names and sought clarification, and we sought clarification, that would be a different story. But the way he chooses to give his debate, that is the preserve of the senator. And we asked for additional information. He did not supply any further information to point to any political party. So we shall proceed on with the debate. Senator Osotsi Godfrey Atieno.
Madam Speaker.
What is your point of order should come when there is someone on the floor, Senator Catherine. Can you allow him to begin and then you do it as per the starting? Proceed.
Senator Thangwa has suggested that the moving of this motion was intended to protect criminals. He has said it. Senator Thangwa has said a political party whose leaders have then gone to look as if they are supporting the victims. Madam Speaker, I think a political party can only be one. If he actually is speaking in good faith to try and help resolve this problem, he needs to name the party, he needs to name the leaders who are protecting the victims. And I think it is bad faith for him to say the motion is intended to protect victims. Can he clarify why he believes that is the case?
Senator Catherine Muma, I have given a direction on that matter. The issue that was raised by Senator Sifuna was about the political party. There was no other issue raised unless the Hansard would bear a different record. I would request Senator Osotsi to proceed.
Madam Speaker, let me also contribute to this motion of adjournment by supporting it and say that this Senate, I think we are creating a very bad precedent. I have observed very carefully, Madam Speaker, that members have brought here a motion of adjournment to discuss very serious issues. But when the motion is put, we don't get to discuss the substantiveness of the issues in that motion. We degenerate into our political parties and we lose the entire idea of bringing up the adjournment motion. I want to say this is a very serious matter, Madam Speaker. And I want to disagree with the members who have spoken earlier, particularly the majority whip, who said that this is not a government problem. I want to state here that this is a government problem. And I'm saying this because...
What is your point of clarification, Senator Kavindu?
Madam Speaker, I still insist that Senator Thangwa should come out and say clearly what he means when he says maybe the motion is for, no, when he says the motion is for protecting criminals. I'm not here to protect any criminal. I am here to defend my people of Machakos.
Senator Agnes Kavindu, I have given a direction on that matter. Senator Karungo was responding to the issue of the political party, and I gave a guidance that his response was on the political party aspect. So, Senator Osoti, please proceed.
Madam Speaker, exactly that's the point I was putting across. When we have a motion of adjournment, I think we need to act very seriously and responsible so that we get the results of what we are discussing. On this particular motion, Madam Speaker, this is a very serious matter. A serious matter where hundreds of families are sleeping in the cold. Yes. El Nino is just about to come. They have nowhere to call home. And when someone says this is not a government problem, then we ask, where was the government when this land was being sold to these people? Yes. Where was the government when schools were being licensed in this area? There is a lot to say about this. And Madam Speaker, in fact, this matter was taken as an inquiry by this House. Yes. Unfortunately, the chairperson of the committee that is supposed to be doing an inquiry on this matter, he is the one who is taking this matter very lightly on this floor, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, November last year, one Honorable Moses Kuria, the former CS for Trade, issued a threat that these people are going to be evicted, that they wanted to demolish the houses in that land. Yes. Because the government wants to put up a cargo airport. Madam Speaker, why do we need a cargo airport in Mavoko when we have enough land at JKIA for expansion? We can put a cargo airport there. And Madam Speaker, this land, if you go into the history of this land was donated to Portland by the community. Yes. To mine. And a lease. So that they mine, at the end of the mining exercise, the land reverts to the community. Now they are coming and getting the land from the community back to Portland by force. Madam Speaker, I want to request that this matter be handled by an inquiry of this House so that we get to the bottom of this matter, because this matter has been on for some time. I remember during the last government, President Uhuru's government, there was a similar arrangement to evict the people. But President Uhuru decided that these people will continue occupying the land. But this government that came to power on the basis of protecting hustlers, on the basis of ensuring there will be no eviction, it is the worst eviction that we have ever witnessed as a country since independence. This is worse than the Kariobangi one that was done some time back. Madam Speaker, this is a very serious matter, and I want us as senators not to discuss this matter as if we are protecting our various political parties. We are here to protect matters that affect Kenyans. And this is one matter that affects Kenyans. Mavoko, that land, if you go there, you find every community there. I have my people from Vihiga County who have bought land there. Where was the government? Why were they issuing titles in that land? We need the Ministry of Land, the ministry in charge of housing.
Senator Gloria Uroba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think today one thing we all agree in this House is that we have a systematic problem of land injustices That one we all agree. As a matter of fact, I have said this repeatedly, that Kenya has actually been built on systematic acts of land grabbing. Once we have acknowledged that, which we all acknowledge, is that these injustices cannot be resolved by protecting fraudsters. It cannot. I have had my colleagues asking, where was the government? I have had some of them even referencing the former president, saying the former president said that they stay. Protecting fraudsters, protecting people who have conned Kenyans. But when we have a government that has finally acknowledged that we need to make the things that were wronged, we need to make them right, and we need to start from somewhere, then we have the same people saying, where is government? Government is here. Government is here to ensure that we are no longer protecting fraudsters. We have innocent Kenyans who bought that land, who did not do the due diligence that needed to be done. What we should be discussing as senators, as legislators is, do we have a lacuna in law in terms of protecting victims of fraudsters? But coming to discuss that, let us continue protecting conmen and fraudsters who are grabbing land and then selling this land to innocent Kenyans, that is not what we are supposed to do as legislators. So for those of you who are asking, where was government? That same question should be posed. Where was government? That government that was actually allowing and protecting fraudsters,
What's your point of order,
Madam
Senator?
Speaker.
I resume your seat, Gloria. What's your
Speaker,
point of order?
can the Honorable Senator tell us who is protecting fraudsters among the people who have spoken?
Senator Gloria, who is protecting fraudsters? Can you
Madam
respond?
Speaker, I think maybe it is an issue of interpretation or lack of understanding. But if we have all agreed that land was grabbed, illegally sold, people settled, why then would we be saying that let us not deal with the issue of land grabbing? That in itself is protecting fraudsters. Because we are trying to say that those people who have constantly conned Kenyans, and they continue to do so, because they know that people will come and say, oh, let us protect the victims. We have to look into how to protect the victims within the law. Let us discuss on bills on how victims can be protected. But, Madam Speaker, we cannot be, as legislators who are law-abiding, discuss on how we are going to continue aiding land grabbers. Madam Speaker, that is my point. And Madam Speaker, because of time...
Senator Gloria, would you wish to be informed by Senator
No,
Kavindu?
I do not wish to be informed. Madam Speaker,
So
I think...
she does not wish to be informed.
Madam Speaker...
Senator Kavindu, she does not wish to be informed.
Madam Speaker, I want to applaud DCI because we have seen that they have come out without fear of whatever political divide, and they have listed those alleged criminals who are now looking for political favor to be protected in all sorts of forms. Madam Speaker, we want to say to DCI, those are the people we want to parade out there and make sure that we even bring back the money if they have property. In fact, the houses that they are living in, we are supposed to resettle the victims in their houses. That is what we should be discussing today, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, I want to say this, that we cannot ignore that we have reports that we need to implement. The Ndungu report must be implemented, and this issue of land grabbing must be dealt with as a whole, beginning with what the President is starting with today.
Senator Catherine Muma.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for opportunity to contribute to this. Madam Speaker, this motion came because of the sad pictures of people's houses being brought down. Madam Speaker, what we are discussing today is an issue of ensuring that this country gets back to law and order. Madam Speaker, we have court rulings, 2011, in Garissa on how to deal with evictions. We have a ruling in 2013 on how...
Senator Kathy Hold. Senator Chiradige, what's your point of order?
Madam Speaker, I rise on standing 105 on responsibility for statement of fact. Senator Catherine Muma has indicated that we are here because of the sad pictures that we saw of what is happening in Mavoko. While we know very well, Madam Speaker, that the reason demolitions are happening in Mavoko, in Athi River, the land belongs to Portland, was a case that was adjudicated in a court of law, and there was a court order that was being implemented by a private entity company called Athi River Portland. Is it in order for her to mislead Kenyans that the reason we are discussing this motion is because we saw pictures of houses being demolished, Madam Speaker? Is it in order can be responsible for the statement of the fact that is saying before the House, Madam Speaker?
Senator Cherargei, let me give a direction on that matter. Hold your horses, Senator Osotsi. I have given a direction in this House that the style and the manner in which a senator chooses to debate their points cannot be the discretion of the other senator. It is the preserve of the senator who is debating the issue. So Senator Kadhi, proceed and...
Madam Speaker,
you
just
cannot
to...
raise a point of order when there is no senator on their feet. Senator Osotsi, you know the rules.
Madam Speaker, the outcry about the manner in which evictions have been done, whether those victims are victims or land grabbers, is what brought the attention of this House to the matter that is there. And you will check, you will not find a court order that said demolish. There is no such court order. Madam Speaker, the point I was making is this, that it is high time as a country we started respecting the rule of law. So that land was grabbed and allocated to people. Who registered the schools? Who registered the churches? Who gave the planning permissions? Madam Speaker, it's not about pointing a finger at the other, the opposition or the government. It is many people here who have slept on the job. And this House needs to move in a manner that we can even set an inquiry to get to the bottom of this, because this is recurring every so often. Madam Speaker, in 2011, 1,100 families were evicted in Garissa, and the courts found that government did this wrongly. It also happened in 2013 when the ruling said the Muthurwa evictions were not done properly. Madam Speaker, we must not hand over this country to private actors to actually evict people. A government that is trying to encourage housing needs to find out how do we resolve these issues. I am not here to defend anybody, and anybody who knows any culprit or grabber, regardless of which party they are in, even if it is my ODM party, please name them. That is why we are here.
Honorable Senators,
so I would suggest... Okay.
Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 34-2A, I will add an extra 10 minutes so that the few senators who are waiting to debate may most likely have a chance to debate.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think I have 1 minute going. I just wanted to say, as a House, I am pleading. I think many departments have slept on the job on this matter. Rather than look at this politically on who is speaking and who is doing what, we need, as a House, to be that entity that will be responsible enough to look at this matter objectively. If it means we set up a committee to go and find out which department did its job, which department did not do its job, so that we can resolve this thing and stop the next evictions that are going to hurt Kenyans. Thank you.
Your time is up, Senator. Senator Cherargei, it's your time. And honorable senators, if you can avoid the point of orders for the few minutes, then a few more would debate.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to thank you and thank that we are discussing this adjournment motion on the evictions that is happening in Machakos County. Madam Speaker, I've seen allusions, and you know it's surprising that some people have double standards, Madam Speaker. One side, they tell government, respect the rule of law, The other side, they encourage government to go for impunity. Madam Speaker, I am surprised and perturbed. While I empathize with Kenyans who they were innocent purchasers, Madam Speaker, it is sad that individuals want to encourage government to break the law, yet at the same time say the government should have a rule of law. In the functions of presidency and president, there is nowhere that says the president can cancel a court order. I have never seen it. If anybody was genuine in supporting the victims of innocent purchase of land, they should have assisted them in a court of law. Not going for press conferences, not going and intimidating the police officers who are implementing the court order, Madam Speaker. I want to say the government shall follow the rule of law and implement the court order as is, Madam Speaker. Secondly, I want to laud the DCI for naming, including even sitting members of parliament and former, Madam Speaker, people who served in provincial administration or NGAO or National Government Administration Coordination Ministry, that they are part and parcel of accessories to the crime that was committed to innocent purchasers. I want to encourage DCI, fear not. As the Bible says, Madam Speaker, fear not. We are challenging the DCI to go for them, however mighty or however low they are, Madam Speaker. I want to say in conclusion, Madam Speaker, the government shall protect all Kenyans within the law. Madam Speaker, I therefore encourage the senator to go beyond and even request this House, Madam Speaker, to form a committee of inquiry, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, when Senator Utsosi was speaking, we were patiently listening to him. Why does he want to interrupt me, Madam Speaker? When I'm making, you are the one who said.
Senator Cherarige, he's within his rights to request. Resume your seat, Senator.
No, Madam Speaker, I finished my submission. I thank you.
Yes. Madam Speaker.
You know you cannot finish like
Madam
that,
Speaker.
Senator Cherarige. I'm the one in charge of the House for now.
I'm rising on Standing Order 105, which my good friend, Senator Cherarige, has misused in this House. Madam Speaker, it is important for me to rise on this because we are degenerating as a House. Because when you are discussing a matter, it has become a norm that the easiest way of curtailing debate is to rise on point of order number 105, Standing Order number 105. Some time back, about a week ago, when we are discussing a similar motion of adjournment in regards to tribal clashes in Sondo, Senator Cherarige demanded that I substantiate the sentiments I had expressed, that there were some fighting near the border of Nandi and Vihiga County. And Madam Speaker, have been waiting for the chair to tell me, this is now the second week, to substantiate. I have never been asked to come and substantiate. I was told to come and substantiate. The next Tuesday, nothing happened. So what I'm trying to say, my point of order is this. I think, Madam Speaker, the chair of this House must observe any incidences of misuse of Standing Order number 105, which a lot of senators here, especially Senator Cherarige, are used to bring it up. And I decided to bring it up when he's speaking, to inform the House that I have been waiting to substantiate the claims I made, and the chair has never asked me to substantiate. Senator, is it in order for Standing Order number 105 to be misused in this House as a way of curtailing democracy and debate and free speech in this House?
Senator Utsosi, resume your seat. Let me give you direction on that issue. Senator Utsosi, Standing Order 105 is available to all the senators in this House to utilize it as a tool for debate and a tool for intervening when there are issues that need to be responded to and which they feel are now crossing the standing order or going out of way. So it is in order for any senator, including Senator Cherarige, to use the Standing Order 105. Abuse of that standing order should not be allowed. Nonetheless, if you have been directed to substantiate an issue and you have not had a chance to substantiate that issue, it would be in order for you to even approach the clerk's desk or approach the chair and say that you have pending business that has not been brought in good time. And in this regard, I will now direct the clerk's desk to make sure that the issue of Sondu is substantiated during the next sitting, as the next sitting resumes. And even Senator Ototi owes a duty of responsibility to the House to offer that information for anything that may be left out erroneously or inadvertently by the chair or by the clerk's desk. We proceed on with debate, so I will ask Senator Miraj.
Asante Bi Speaker. Na mimi nasimama kama kiongozi ambaye natoka katika mkoa ulioathirika zaidi na uwizi wa mashamba. Na nasimama kwa uchungu sana, kwa sababu imekuwa ni tabia, na nimuunge mkono pia Senator Gloria, ya kwamba kuna watu mahali wamekaa na wamejipanga ni jinsi gani watakuwa wakiibia Wakenya walalahoi pesa zao kwa kuwauzia mashamba ambayo sio yao. Ni jambo la kusikitisha sana kuona kwamba tunalumbana sisi kama viongozi katika taifa la Kenya, wakati kuna wananchi, Madam Speaker, ambao wako nje hawajui watalala wapi. Mimi kama mzazi, na kutokamana na yale masuala ya El Nino ambayo yamekuwa yakizungumziwa, naona ni bora hawa ambao wametolewa katika haya majumba kuweza kupelekwa katika zile nyumba ambazo wale watuhumiwa wametajwa na DCI leo. Sisi kama taifa ni wakati tuchukue mkondo mpya kama serikali mpya katika taifa hili. Chini ya serikali ya William Samoei Ruto, Madam Speaker, tuliweza kuzungumza ya kwamba masuala ya ardhi yatakuwa masuala ya serikali zilizopita na sio serikali hii. Tukaweza kuongea ya kwamba kutakuwa na mazungumzo na watu kufidiwa. Basi mimi kama kiongozi ningependa jumba hili tuweze kutunga sheria ya kuweza kuona yule atakayepatikana ameuzia mwingine shamba ambalo silo lake aweze kupewa adhabu kali. Ningependa pia sisi kama maseneta na viongozi katika taifa hili, Madam Speaker, tuweze kukubaliana ya kwamba ni uchungu kuona ya kwamba kuna watu katika ofisi za serikali ambao waliweza kupiga mihuri ya kuwezesha wale wananchi kuweza kujenga katika maeneo kama yale. Ningependa kando na wale ambao waliwauzia, hata wale ambao wako katika ofisi za serikali hadi sasa waweze kuchukuliwa hatua kali. Wale wote ambao waliwahi kufanya kazi katika ofisi za serikali za ardhi wafikiwe, kwa sababu kuondoka katika ofisi ya serikali haimaanishi mkono wa serikali hautakufata pale ulipo. Wale waliwatendea zulma wananchi wa taifa la Kenya kwa kuweza kusahihisha na kuweka sawa uwizi wa ardhi ulioendelea pale Mavoko waweze kufatwa na mkono wa sheria uweze kuchukua njia yake. Asante, Bi Speaker.
You have, Honorable Senator, we have 18 seconds. Senator Kavindu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to say that the Committee of Lands should move to Mavoko to know